The effort remains ongoing, as well as our search for the remaining skier, but the weather is a factor. It's not a resource issue as we speak. It is a weather condition and safety condition for our response teams. Of the 2 that were injured, 1 individual was stabilized last night and released. 1 is still being treated at the hospital. I've been told both subjects are non-life-threatening injuries, so that's good to know. The guide company has been very cooperative, providing us the individual information from their trip. They also had members arrive at our location when we deployed into the field, and they responded with us. They wanted to do everything that they could to assist. The cause of death clearly will not be able to be confirmed. One, we still have to get to the decedents. We still have to be able to identify those decedents, and then we will determine through contract with Placer County. We contract with them for all of our pathology. That should take some time to determine mechanism of injury and truly the cause of death for these individuals. The avalanche yesterday was about 1 mile away from a different avalanche that occurred at the beginning of January in that same Castle Peak area. Please understand that this incident remains ongoing. Our focus remains on recovering, but the snow and the unsure conditions are creating an issue to making sure that we can safely do that. We did have a conversation with the families of the folks that are still outstanding, and let them know that our mission has went from a rescue to a recovery. It's a difficult conversation to have with loved ones, so I please ask for your patience with the family members. This is ongoing, and I can't even imagine the amount of questions and stress that those families are going through right now as we move forward through this. Public safety reminders. Check avalanche forecasts and weather reports before traveling anywhere in the backcountry. Locally, the Sierra Avalanche Center is a great resource. Avoid closed areas, posted areas, avoid all of those high-risk areas. Always communicate your plans. Travel with a partner, share your route, and consider all of the avalanche training dangers that are in our beautiful community, but definitely a high danger for that. So with that, I'll ask the Placer County Sheriff Wayne Wu to come up and talk about that mutual aid that his agency reported and responded with us.
Thank you, Sheriff Moon. My name is Wayne Wu, W-O-O. I'm the current sheriff of Placer County. First of all, on behalf of myself and all the men and women of the Placer County Sheriff's Office, I want to offer my condolences to the family in this very trying time. The Placer County Sheriff's Office, the Washoe County Sheriff's Office, and the Nevada County Sheriff's Office has a very unique relationship with the challenges of providing services in the Lake Tahoe Basin. We work very closely together, and we value that relationship and provide mutual aid to each other. And I know Sheriff Moon would provide just as many resources to the constituents of Placer County if this emergency were to occur in our jurisdiction. So Sheriff Balaam with Washoe County couldn't make it over the summit. He tried to be here today, but I appreciate all of his efforts in this response as well. On the initial response, the Placer County Sheriff's Tahoe Nordic Search and Rescue Team responded with 2 snowcats and 28 members of our search and rescue team. I can't speak highly enough of the men and women that make up the Tahoe Nordic Search and Rescue Team. They are some of the highest rated, best, most well-trained, selfless servants that you'll find in the country right here in the Lake Tahoe Basin. These are true heroes that answer the call and selflessly serve and put themselves in harm's way when we call and there are other members of our community in need. This incident has specifically struck our organization and that team hard, as one of the 9 missing decedents is a spouse of one of our Tahoe Nordic Search and Rescue Team members. So as you can understand, this has not only been challenging for our community, it's been a challenging rescue, but it's also been challenging emotionally for our team and our organization. We are committed to being here until the end and making sure we make all these recoveries. As Sheriff Moon mentioned, the decedents will be transported to the Placer County morgue upon recovery and getting them off the mountain down at our Roseville facility. But in closing, I would like to add my request to members of the public during this time, and that is please avoid the Sierras during this current storm and in the upcoming days. Avoid mountain travel. It's treacherous. Avoid the backcountry. Please allow us to focus all of our resources on continuing to recover these bodies for the family and bring them home. Just yesterday, while we were responding to this incident, we got pulled off and had to pull resources for other rescues and overdue skiers. So please, over the next couple of days until this incident comes to a conclusion, please avoid the Sierras. And with that, I will introduce California Office of Emergency Services Chief Don O'Keefe. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. My name is Don O'Keefe, and it's spelled O''K''EEFE. I'm the Chief of Law Enforcement for the Governor's Office of Emergency Services, also serve as a statewide law enforcement mutual aid coordinator. First of all, on behalf of Governor Newsom and Director Tina Curry, I just want to offer our condolences as well to the families. I do want to, before I talk a little bit about the outside mutual aid, I want to echo what Sheriff Wu was talking about, the incredible search and rescue people that do this on a daily basis. The vast majority of these individuals are volunteers. They, a lot of time, buy their own equipment, they train on their own time, and they put a big investment into it. So we really big shout out to our volunteers statewide. Yesterday, around 11:30, the California State Warning Center received a call from a private Beacon, one of the companies, that there was an emergency. We were able to track it to an area in remote Nevada County. We reached out to the Nevada County Sheriff's Office. They had already gotten word of this incident. My staff responded, and our job in this type of situation, like any mutual aid, is we're there to support the incident commander. Our job is to get the resources that incident commander needs to safely and successfully complete that mission. So during this time period, one of my personnel was communicating with one of the guides for over a 4-hour period, giving information back to the Nevada Sheriff's Office and, coordinating what rescues could be permitted. So we have a very, very robust, as the sheriff said, very robust mutual aid system in California. It usually starts surrounding counties, cities help themselves. Where we really come into it is when resources need to come from regional or statewide. And in this case, the request for specialized equipment. Now, you're talking about a winter situation where you have to have rescuers that, searchers, rescuers that have the right equipment. They can stay out overnight if needed be in this environment. So we reached out statewide as far away as Ventura and Los Angeles County for certain specific type of, resources that the sheriff was needing. As she has mentioned, this is not, at this point, is not a resource issue. The resource has been met. However, we here at Cal OES will still be assisting through the recovery process to get that, whatever is needed to recover the decedents from where they're at right now. So with that, that's all I have right now. Thank you. I'll be around to answer questions later on. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Vitrier. Last name is spelled F as in Frank, E-U, T as in Tom, R-I-E-R. I'm the Forest Supervisor of the Tahoe National Forest. The Sierra Avalanche Center is hosted on the Truckee Ranger District of the Tahoe National Forest. I was able to speak with one of the professional forecasters there as they were on their way to the field to get some more field data for the regional forecasting job they have, which is over five forests and 2-state region. I too want to extend my condolences to the families who are dealing with lost family members, and a sincere thank you as well to the courageous search and rescue folks who responded quickly and under dangerous conditions. I'd point you to the Sierra Avalanche Center's website for the best information on this avalanche. What we do understand is that it was about a football field in length. It resulted when a persistent weak layer had a large load of snow over the top of it. That persistent weak layer is still there and has reloaded with another 3 feet of snow, so the hazard remains high. And happy to answer any further questions that I can. Thank you.
So with that, we'll open up public questions on a first come basis. I see your hand there. Before though, with that, if we could keep in mind again the decedents, please. We won't be sharing any information on the decedents out of respect for the family.
Resources mobilized. I'm sure that everyone from Caltrans to CHP had realized that this was going to be a major storm system. In situations like this, is there a cautionary message that you would like to convey to the community, knowing that a storm like this was coming in and that the avalanche danger was going to be high? Going forward, how can we prevent disasters like this from happening?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Yeah, lots of forecast on this storm. Those are the decisions that the guide company clearly had made. We're still in conversation with them on the decision factors that they made, but definitely a heed for everyone. The backcountry it's beautiful. There's not a lot of people out there, and that's where a lot of people like to recreate. I myself like to recreate in that area. But Mother Nature does not seem to it doesn't seem to matter, right? No matter how prepared you are, no matter how experienced you are. And again, heeding the warnings of it takes all resources from multiple different agencies to respond to emergencies. And when we have multiple emergencies going on, we too had a different search and rescue mission in the north section of our county, just because of the amount of snow that was coming down. So recognizing it's not just you, that you're impacting the potential for resources getting deployed somewhere else. And yeah, trying to put that information out as much as we can. We have great partnership with all of the media. And listening to your guys' newscasts, listening to our local newscasts on the prediction of that weather, I think is important. And most people do heed that. In this particular instance, it was day 3. They were on their way out, and they came across this avalanche. So appreciate the question.
Giving their condolences. My question is, can you give us even just whether they, but anything with their hometown and their state, perhaps?
Yeah, multiple different states, definitely. And again, we did have a conference call with all members this morning, and we assured them that we would not be putting names out. They're still reeling, quite considerable, and I could not imagine what they're going through. So as soon as we can get that information out, we will. And the first people that are going to hear this information clearly is the families that are affected. Again, this affects not only our communities, but other communities. We understand that, and we appreciate the media's assistance with us in getting that message out.
Original question. I know that you said you're speaking.
Well, I would say the communication lines, clearly we were able to communicate with them during the avalanche. what kind of communication lines they had as they were out on their 3-day tour trip. I can't speak to that. Those are all questions that we're asking, and appreciate the patience while we get through this and investigate the totality. Not just so that we know, but so these families know. I think that's the core piece of my mind is wanting to be able to provide answers to the families that were affected, the guide members that were present, and the clients that paid for this trip. Thank you. I don't think either of them could be considered main. They're both great questions. Yeah.
Can you give us some more information on the rescue itself? How far away from the group that were found compared to those who's now deceased? And were they carried far down the mountain?
I'm going to refer to my operations captain, who was the incident commander for the duration of that first operational period, Captain Rusty Green. He'll answer that question for you.
My name is Rusty Green, Greene. The group was fairly close together. The recovery was also, the bodies that were recovered fairly close together. It was reported by the individuals that survived that they were attempting to go out as a group, that someone saw the avalanche, yelled avalanche, and then it overtook them rather quickly.
One more follow-up. And can you share more about the account of the survivors after the rescue mission?
Yes, 2 of the survivors were transported for medical treatment. They went to the hospital. 1 was released last night. 1 is expected to be released today. Both are expected to survive. Everyone else was released at scene. That I cannot. I can only imagine. I think you can too. There's no actual roadway into the search area. It's accessed via a snowcat, a snowmobile, or cross-country skis. The interstate obviously will open, and that's the staging areas, and then we go from there.
Location of things. Can you describe exactly where that football field size avalanche field is located, say, in proximity to Castle Peak proper and then the Frog Lake cabins? And are you able to kind of pinpoint it, or has that not been officially mapped and triangulated at this moment?
I also have a follow-up question for you. I know that you had mentioned we had the football field avalanche, and then essentially it's been reloaded with snow. Obviously, this is a really complicated procedure to get the bodies recovered from the scene. Is there fear that there could be another avalanche that might rebury those bodies and they could potentially be lost for some time?
I'm going to invite the first responders to answer that.
Yes, that's a consideration, but we also have to take into consideration the longer that we continue to have people out there and exposed, the higher chance we put our rescuers in danger. So is it a consideration? Yes, but it's just one of the factors weighing in our decision.
And talk about the complicating factor of another big storm headed our way with snow continuing to pelt the area and then even to lower elevations.
Well, it's going to make things much more difficult as far as accessing the area, right? It's going to continue to increase the danger of future avalanches, and it's going to continue to make the recovery just harder the longer it goes. We understand that. We understand the importance of doing the recovery, but we just have to weigh all those factors in and do it in the best way possible.
Did the group have any equipment, any airbag that would help them survive an avalanche?
I don't know if they had any of the jackets that inflate or anything like that. I do know that the 8 individuals that were found all had beacons on.
How many bodies have been removed from the scene? Did you say 8? Was that the number that you were saying?
8 have been found at the location. So far, due to the terrain, it's vertical in nature. They were only able to remove the individuals that had survived and needed medical care last night. The actual decedents are still located in the Avalanche area.
And can you give any gender at all of the people?
I believe the sheriff provided that breakdown. We can provide that for you if need be. Where the decedents are placed, we did our best to put them in an area that we can recover. We have put avalanche poles there. We've done everything we can to make it so that, given the opportunity, we can get in and do a fast recovery. If the weather gives us that chance, but again, it's going to depend on how the weather goes for the next couple of days.
Just a little more detail. So moving forward, what is your schedule? Are you actively trying to recover today, or is this going to be a matter of days or weeks ahead?
Yes, we're actively going to do the recovery as soon as we can. We currently still have approximately 20 resources assigned to this incident. We have an incident command post still set up. We have individuals looking at the weather and trying to get an opportunity to get in there.
And a big storm coming in tonight, right?
Correct.
Sheriff Moon, I don't know if you could elaborate on this a little bit further. A moment ago, you had talked about how this wasn't a resource issue. This wasn't an issue of your crew members being unsafe per se because they are highly skilled and they know what they're doing. But to a degree, does it put our search and rescue teams in danger when outdoor enthusiasts make the decision to go out in storm systems like the one that we knew was in the forecast?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of that planning briefing that they do before they deploy, in recognizing we have to reach people before we can help rescue people. And, those decisions are made on scene by the folks that are going to be getting deployed, and making sure that they have the right equipment, the right training, and the confidence that they can reach the folks. Last night, I commend them for knowing that they had 6 people that had survived and they wanted to get there as soon as they could. And they took some risks, clearly. I would say they were through information. And today, looking at it, the risk is still as high. With the mission moving to a recovery, we want to really make sure that our first responders are safe and have all of the confidence that they can get there. And that was the conversation that we had this morning with the families. And again, I can't stress it enough. The search and rescue volunteers, they sign up for this. They are not compensated. We had several staff members from the sheriff's office, both my office, the Placer County Sheriff's Office, working in concert with them. Again, making sure that we're safe and that our plans are in place. We have good communication. They came up with the plan of how far they were going to get the tracked vehicles, and knowing that they can get all the ways to them just based on what the conditions were, and making sure that they were able to safely get out of there. It was a full day of work for them, and those are the questions that we're asking today, and looking at the weather, looking at the forecast, and really just making sure that we're going to do this as safe as possible, with knowing that we have a great resource coming from all agencies. Yesterday, I was inundated with texts and words of encouragement from all sheriffs across the state, saying, if you need us, we'll be there. Again, our mutual aid system is designed for the agencies to put in the request through Cal OES, and then Cal OES finds us those resources, and they've been great at doing that. But again, we could have all the resources we want, but if it's not safe to get to that location, we really have to make sure that we're making great decisions on this side.
We know that group left the Frog Lake huts. Were they the only people at the huts? Are there anyone still there who maybe decided to wait out the storm?
That information, I'm sure, is getting through their statements, but I don't have information for you for that. But we will ask those questions.
Okay. And then also, Sheriff, you mentioned that one of the deceased is a spouse of a member of your search and rescue team. What is the impact on the team knowing this is such a personal connection?
Yeah, I think everybody has circled around to provide their love and condolences for this family, but I think it's also motivated the team of their purpose and to go out there and rescue those that were still alive and now recover, those decedents that are still out there. And so, while it's been an emotional impact and we're all trying to support the family, we still have a job to do. And we will be here side by side with Sheriff Moon and the families until we get every last decedent off the mountain.
And then also for you, Sheriff, and really for anyone, it's not uncommon for avalanche fatalities to happen. This is a very high number, a number that I don't believe we've seen for decades. Have any of you seen a rescue operation, or particularly a deadly operation of this scale in the past, or was this something that was new even for your standards?
Yeah, I'll turn it over to Sheriff Moon in a second because I know she just had another fatality that within the last 12 months in that Castle Peak area. But, the Placer County Sheriff's Office has dealt with a severe avalanche tragedy, and the avalanche at Alpine Meadows, which I believe we had 7 fatalities. That was extremely taxing on our organization and the community at the time. So to see this tragic incident unfold and potentially have that many losses of life, it's horrible to see, and I think that's why we're all so committed to seeing this through until the end. It's unfortunately, we're kind of at the will of Mother Nature at this point and going to have to wait for hopefully a decent break in the weather and make sure we get every last soul off that mountain. I'll leave it to the Nevada County Sheriff's Office operations to decide and weigh in on that.
Yeah, in looking at the data of the 9 folks that are still on the mountain, 7 are female and 2 are men.
And Sheriff Moon, I want to make sure we get the timeline of when you mentioned all of these discoveries were made. I believe you said that around 5:30 p.m., your search and rescue teams who had gone in and then on the Snowcat skied in 2 miles, made contact with the 6 survivors, and the 6 survivors led them to the 8 decedents that you knew about, or 3 decedents at the time?
At that time, they had located 3 decedents themselves while they were waiting for their rescue. Our search and rescue team, once they arrived, were able to locate the rest.
Okay, and then I know, with much respect to your office, last night you all issued a statement about the efforts at about 10:40 p.m. At that time, it was still a search mission for people who were presumed to be alive. At that point, was the decision made to still call it a search mission for potential survivors because they had not been pronounced dead? Or how does that work with your office making the announcement? And then we were kind of under the impression that there was a search mission going on for survivors as of this morning. So how does that work out?
Yeah. First and foremost, we wanted to talk to the families before we released anything. So from last night till this morning. And again, it was through statements from the rescuers that were on scene, and they were able to locate the total of 8 known decedents. We're still looking for 1. And again, based on the conversations of truly what their conditions were, looking at the forecast, looking at the totality of the circumstances, and recognizing that it was going to be very difficult for us to get back out there. And again, the information comes in. We try to confirm and assure that we have the best information. But this morning, we really wanted to be able to have a conversation with the families before making any announcements.
Sheriff Moon,
7 are female, 2 are men. And so 3 of that group are guides. Can you tell me the gender of the guides who have been deceased?
Yeah, we are not releasing that right now. So just the numbers of who we're looking for as far as gender.
Sheriff Moon, can you help clarify? Were 4 guys on the trip. You say 1 were a survivor. Does that mean the other 3 died?
As presumed correctly.
Specify of the surviving guide, if the surviving guide was a man or a woman?
Was the surviving guide was a male?
The one man was a guide, and then 5 women that were.
Correct. Correct. Thank you. Sir.
Provide more information on the one person that is still unaccounted for? Was it a man? Was it a woman? Is there any chance they could potentially still be alive, or at this point are they potentially presumed dead?
Presumed deceased, just based on the totality. The statements of the group was together. And again, the conditions, I wasn't on the scene with them last night, but I've seen some of the documentation, pretty horrific. They were able to locate 8, and then the snowcat was ready to go. So everybody got loaded up and brought down the mountain. Again, took several hours to get from the snowcat back down to the trailhead, where we met with some ambulances from Truckee Fire to get the injured to the hospital. And the other folks got some quick statements. But again, this is an ongoing investigation, and we're going to be getting a lot more of those detailed statements as the days move forward.
So just to clarify, did that mean that would be 9 people that would have died in this incident?
Correct. Yeah, we don't have any more press conferences scheduled. We would have put that out. But our public information officer is Ashley Quadros. She's the one that started our conference today. She can put out her information if you haven't already received that information. I'm sure several of you are here today because you've been in contact with the office. And as soon as we get any updated information, again, we'll be having those conversations with the family. And then we'll be reporting out the information for you all.
And just to clarify, were the SOS signals, I think, Rusty, you mentioned they were sort of like iPhone SOS communication. Is that what the 6 used, or did they use an Avalanche beacon per se? And for the lay people, can you describe the differences in the communication tactics? What's more effective, the iPhone SOS or a beacon device that somebody would buy from an REI or something like that?
Right. We received information from both. So both of those came through. As far as the technology, I don't know if Don or Rusty has more on the actual beacon devices. Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah, the communication that we were with, I believe, was one of the guides. It was through text. He was texting us. We were going back and forth.
So it is safe to say for people who do this kind of outdoors recreating that sometimes the technology can be as good as just using your iPhone and texting back and forth, or would you recommend that anybody who does chance going out in the backcountry?
I really am not in a position to recommend anything on it, but I think these devices are very readily available, and I think if you're going to be in the backcountry, it'd probably be wise to have one of those.
Is there anybody up there who was part of the rescue mission yesterday, and would they be able to tell us a little bit more about what they see out there and what they hear out there?
Yeah, based on the conditions at the scene up there, there is no rescuers or first responders in the area. They all came off the mountain late last night with the 6 that we rescued.
Oh, I mean up there, right here in the press conference.
Gotcha. No, these were all incident commanders from our location here. A lot of the incident commanders that were there last night went back up today so that they could be there. Again, looking at the conditions, looking at the forecast, looking at how much snow did come down, talking with the Avalanche, Sierra Avalanche Center to see truly it still is a very high, they listed as a very high danger. And making those decisions going forward is going to be based off of safety to the responders.
Is there a command post that will be set up going forward until the remaining 9 people are recovered?
Yeah, we started last night at the Boreal Ski Resort parking lot. I believe we've moved to the Truckee substation. Yeah, our Truckee substation is right on Donner Pass Road, where we have the sheriff's office station. So it's in downtown Truckee.
One question about the avalanche generally, not about the actual investigation. I know you directed us to the Sierra Avalanche Center. This was listed on the destructive force scale as a D2.5. I know a D2 is it could bury and kill a person. D3 could bury, destroy a house. What does a 2.5 mean exactly? Would you be able to answer that?
So it's in between the two, effectively. It can cause loss of life, but it's not as big as a 3. Sorry, don't have any more information.
Is it significantly powerful? Is it unusual, or could you give us some broader context of how frequently we see an avalanche of this power?
Unfortunately, while the Avalanche Center is hosted, I'm not an avalanche expert myself, so I'd be guessing. Thanks.
We'll just take one or two more questions, and also just to clarify, as we've talked about all the individuals involved in that, since there's been a lot of back and forth on guests versus guides, I just want to clarify the people genders again, just one more time to mitigate any confusion. So we had 15 people total, 9 women and 6 men. Our survivors are 4 men and 2 women. And our at-large presumed deceased are 7 women and 2 men. And again, with that, we'll take 1 to 2 more questions. Yes.
What went through your mind when you realized the totality of this tragedy?
You know, definitely thinking of the folks that were out there. You know, the 6 that we had contact with, wanting to do everything we could in our power to get to them. Also weighing in, making sure that our staff and our volunteers that, again, I've been a search and rescue coordinator through my career here at the Sheriff's Office. Incredible group of men and women that respond day and night to calls that we request them because of their expertise and their training and their commitment. They're folks that like to recreate, and to know that we have that resource. Also, in talking with our staff, making sure that we were safe last night. Horrific conditions, just whiteout conditions. It's a known area where we have a lot of missions, search and rescue missions, that Castle Peak, Peter Grubb Hut, Frog Lake Hut area. So we train in that area. So they knew the terrain. That doesn't make it easier for them when the snow conditions and the wind conditions. So what was going through my mind is hopefully they can get there to the 6 that were sheltering in place. So getting the call that they had made it, and then they made it safely off the mountain, but immediately thinking of the folks that didn't make it, and knowing our mission now is to get them home, and making sure that we're doing it safely, and in constant conversation with those families. Thank you.
How low the temperature dropped last night?
It had to be well below freezing. You know, clearly it was snowing most of the night up there. So in the high 20s, low 30s. Cold conditions. Really appreciate it.
All right, that will conclude our news conference for today. We will continue to keep everyone updated as we continue to, our search and rescue crew continues to help get all those folks off the mountain safely and back to their loved ones. The best way to follow us is to stay with our Facebook page. I know several of you are also on our media list, but Facebook, we will post all